To be talking about hello and welcome to Funding the Regenaissance. Turn that down. Oh, sorry. Right, here we are. Okay, welcome to Funding the Regenaissance. We're going to be talking about how to usher in a regenerative future, how we can fund what matters, how we can scale what really matters for our planet, for all different life forms on this world, how we can make the most impact while creating ROIs for investors, and how we can navigate these waters together. Okay, so starting things off, we have a panel on the state of refi. We have both Pranav and we have Monty who will be talking about these topics. I'm very much excited to update on the exciting developments of refi. Then we're going to be going into an investor panel with some very talented impact investors. And finally, we're going to be hearing some pitches from some of the most impactful startups in the Web3 and refi space. That's regenerative finance. So I'm just going to share my screen quickly. Oops, sorry, just one moment here. All right, so we are sharing the tab, which is this one here. Okay, I'm going to go to the entire screen. Here we are. Okay, so lovely. Monty, you're ready? Or who's starting? Or Pranav first. Monty's up. Okay. Please join me up here, Monty. Okay.
A little round of applause.
Hey. Let's grow, Monty.
I'm quoting myself. Oh, yeah.
Okay. Just one moment, sorry. I'm going to be sharing this, which will lead to that. We have a special tool called Work Adventure that we're participating in. There's some virtual participants here as well as participants IRL. So it's really a hybrid event that we have going on here. And lovely. Okay, great. We got Karsh in the house. Okay, share screen. Can you please make my screen full screen over there so that we can do this in the Work Adventure? I've been told we have some Work Adventure experts here. Okay, you can see my screen, right? Please make this full screen on the Work Adventure such that we can bring that in. All right. You can also see on the television here. Right. Okay. You know what? We're going to go to Monty and you're going to speak to your slides. And participants in the Work Adventure, can you please make my screen full? Hello? I'm going to need your help here. All right. I'm not 100% familiar with how to use this tool. Please make it full screen. All right. Take it away, Monty. And also, if you're not speaking, please mute your mics. I hear some typing. Make sure that is not happening, please. Just mute your mics. Yeah, no, it's over here. Maybe I can mute you for yourself. Okay, just going to mute you. Take no offense when I mute you. All right. Here we are. Okay, there you are. Nico, I've just turned the volume down. You can adjust that as you please. Full screen, please, and take it away, Monty.
Cool. I actually just wanted to start. I know most of this end of the room, but you two at the end, I'd love it. Just quickly turn it to you, just to say hello, welcome you in, and love it if you were able to introduce yourself to the room. We've never met, and maybe you haven't met many people in this room, and touch maybe a little bit on this of what is your current knowledge, perception, experience of these Web3 and refi concepts. Is it something you've engaged with a lot? Are you hearing it for the first time today? And so yeah, just would love to turn it over to you two.
So my name is Eric. I'm the co-founder and the CEO of the company named FileLedger, and we are actually trying to contribute to the sustainability and the Web3 refi efforts by providing you a platform that is giving you decentralized data storage. So to basically bring transparency to every sort of product lines, be it physical or digital products, because where we believe in FileLedger is that basically to really combat and achieve something, we need to use transparency as a tool to move against greenwashing.
You have to get up here to talk.
Huh?
Just so you have to be up here to talk.
Ah.
You're doing state of refi. Thank you.
Okay.
But I'm done with my intro already, so I'm very happy to be here and very interested in listening in what's going to happen.
Nice. Would you like to come up here and maybe introduce yourself?
I'm happy to do it here if you like. It's up to you.
Yeah, I think Jimmy wants it to be here because then the people online can also hear, if that's not annoying.
Yeah, but you're doing State of Refi first, though, right?
Yeah, no, we're just introducing themselves.
Okay.
Or are they going to do that later?
No, just do it later. State of Refi.
All right. We'll just dive in then.
Okay. Just one moment as we set this up here. We're going to make this full screen. You're going to show me how to do that. This has to be full.
Jimmy, just make your own presentation full screen. That's all.
And how do I do that?
Yeah, dude, it's fine. It's literally, this is already full screen. What's wrong with this?
Like normal?
Because we're broadcasting that.
Look,
That's it.
That's full screen.
Because if you're casting to YouTube, then it should be
No,
fine.
that's not what's in the live stream, mate. This is in the live stream, so please fix this.
Yeah, but that is just the whole screen. So if it's on there, then it's
Yeah,
good.
but that has to be full. Just trust me. Go, please.
When you're doing the share screen, what you want to share that window.
I'm sharing the correct
All the
thing. I need to make
presentation
it
is
full.
there. That's it. Yes. You don't need to change your anything. Great.
See, the tab isn't popping up, so I'm just doing entire screen. But make it the entire thing, please. Thank you for your patience, everyone. We're going to get into the State of Refi momentarily. All right. There you go. Full screen. There you go. No, didn't do it.
But it's just sharing the screen.
I know what that is, but we're broadcasting this whole thing.
The whole thing.
Okay.
Can we, and this doesn't, you can't shrink that down to share only the portion of the screen?
What? Okay.
Does it matter if it's full
All
screen?
right.
or-
Let's just try to.
Share this.
Go ahead.
Share
It's fine. This is great.
Cool.
Just continue as...
I'm going to continue. We're going to start. So just to introduce myself, I grew up in rural Dorset in the UK. I come from a family of kind of sustainability experts and environmentalists, but got very deep in technology, crypto, economics, philosophy. And yeah, whilst I was at uni, this refi movement was born, regenerative finance. And I went super deep on it, ended up doing a TED talk on the topic and founded People Power, which became Refi DAO. I now sit on the board of an organization called Trusted Seed, which is advancing regenerative crypto economics. And I'm a steward at Cello Public Goods, which is leveraging the Cello blockchain to bring about real world impact using blockchain and Web3 technologies. Don't need to spend too long on this slide. I think we all know the state of our planet. But I think really what this one highlights for me is that this is not a future problem. This is some statistics of right now, the problems that the planet is facing. So the problem is very severe and there's a lot that needs to be done and that's only going to get a lot worse. And I think refi is based on a proposition that our current systems are not just a little bit broken, but fundamentally broken at a kind of quite a deep layer and just tinkering at the edges, doing little micro kind of paper straws is not going to solve the problem. We really need to change the underlying incentive drivers of our current capitalist economy. And yeah, we have this concept in economics, the invisible hand of market forces. Right now, those invisible hands are guiding us towards total planetary and systemic breakdown. And so that's one story, the story of where we could be heading if we continue to let these problems kind of manifest. But there is a different story that we can be looking at as a kind of story of hope and inspiration and of what we can build, a new paradigm, and that's the story of regeneration. We're all very familiar with that. It's how do we move from this degenerative extractive economy past just the sustainability lexicon that we hear that's not really going to improve the state of the planet and into that regenerative sphere where systems are actually improving themselves, increasing their resource capacity, and going up over time, and creating that resilience. So yeah, and it's how do we move from this neoclassical economics of the environment and humanity all sitting within the all-encompassing economy, and actually recognizing that the economy, humanity are what sits within the environment, and if you have the environment collapse, everything within that is also going to collapse. So just a shift of framing to ecological economics. And yeah, we also have this model in refi as well. There's eight forms of capital. And if we're stuck in just maximizing only for capital and ignoring the others, that's not going to lead us to good outcomes. And how do we move closer to a world where actually increasing these other capital sources of capital? So the impact fit paradigm. We don't need to eliminate financial gains, but we need to make the financial gains are in balance with the creation of holistic wealth as opposed to extractive wealth.
Exactly. Just one moment for the podcast here. The tile view, that was the issue. Okay, here we are. Nailed it. Okay. Right. There you are. And we are back. Make sure that you...
So, think of regenerative, we often just think of a focus on the kind of environmental regeneration, but actually regeneration spans all sorts of systems, social dynamics, community, culture, consciousness, etc., and economic systems as well, how we're growing resource capacity and not extracting wealth, and etc. And so, refi is, in my view, the way forward, or at least a key piece of the puzzle for achieving this regenerative future and regenerative outcomes. And really it's about how do we, channel people and resources, build these new regenerative systems that creates, this holistic wealth, the 8 forms of capital, the well-being that further increases the capacity and the availability of people and resources to channel back into those regenerative systems and create those positive feedback loops. That's not an easy task, but that's the aim. And how do we do that? Well, we have some super powerful building blocks. We have all of the theory of regenerative economics that's been built up over many years of academic work. We have the incredible powerful technologies of Web3, blockchain, decentralized finance, and emerging movements of decentralized science, of artificial intelligence, and of course the kind of community culture and memes aspect that brings people into the movement and grows that. So going from less conceptual to more tangible, I think we can look at also some refi solutions in a kind of series of steps. In the first stage, maybe we have some form of planet positive action, whether that's in clean energy, in forestry, in regenerative agriculture, in circular and zero waste economies. And there's a whole range of industries that are pushing forward regenerative outcomes. That can also be in digital and economic systems as well. But then we have this space of MRV, the measurement, reporting and verification, and a whole range of technologies and systems and innovations that need to go on there. Traditional sources of MRV are hugely expensive, centralized, and you end up, if you're creating an ecological impact and trying to report that somewhere else, 50-60% of the value could be going to middlemen and brokers and validators. So how can we use these smart technologies and use smart systems as well to increase that sector? And then the final stage of that, you've got the planet positive actions, you've done some MRV, you've got the systems to measure, report and validate that data, and now we can bring that data on chain and start to leverage the innovative mechanisms that's been developed in the Web3 and the DeFi space, automated market makers, decentralized exchanges, a whole bunch of innovation in this space. And now how do we apply that to these regenerative assets? And so those are the kind of stages, and I did a lot of work at RefoDAO and exploring how can we create this web of trust and distributed impact tracking. Can we disrupt traditional top-down centralized models of impact validation and create more decentralized bottoms-up systems that actually work and can radically reduce the cost of impact validation and sort of disrupt conventional models. And as well as the kind of decentralized impact tracking, also looking at these kind of decentralized funding models and impact equals profit. And we've seen how Giveth and Gitcoin have been incredibly successful protocols, innovating on all sorts of new capital allocation mechanisms. And so because Web3 relies on these mechanisms, it's been a real driver of innovation that is starting to be adopted by UNICEF and these more traditional ventures as well. Karma Gap, Hypercerts, I think with more development, these tools have a massive potential to disrupt legacy systems and create this decentralized impact tracking and funding landscape. And yeah, I think it's also worth touching on the kind of blockchain business. Blockchains are fundamentally kind of like these money machines they have these treasuries, they get the investment, they generate transaction fees, those transaction fees flow back into the treasury, and then they can be reallocated. And if we can get efficient at that, the economy grows just like a traditional nation state or any other kind of economy. And so, yeah, how do we allocate this capital at scale? But also it creates new models for the impact equals profit. And suddenly, with Optimism's RPGF, we had projects that traditionally wouldn't be VC or investable or have a return, getting millions upon millions in retro rewards, suddenly creating investable models for open source software for traditionally more impact focused projects. And so I think, yeah, it's an interesting how this can come alongside investors and other sort of forms of capital to complement this and create new inflows for impact projects. And yeah, really quick, I'm pretty sure probably running up on time here, but yeah, just a little introduction to ReFi DAO. Most people probably already know what we've been doing, but we've been around since the birth of the ReFi movement, supporting founders in a whole bunch of sectors in ReFi. We have a podcast that's reaching over 80 to 90,000 downloads at the moment. We run events networks, and we've got these local communities across the globe who are implementing and innovating on these ReFi solutions on the ground. And our aim is really to grow that local node community and really form this kind of regen coordination of communities, new economy, new culture, new society, new systems that are coordinated globally but acting locally across the globe. And yeah, I thought this was a relevant slide for today's audience as well. We also have a website where we've created a kind of knowledge graph of the ReFi ecosystem, really generating intelligence of who are the projects, who are the big movers, who are the people, who are the investors, what kind of deals have happened. And so, yeah, that information is available there as well. Needs some updating for sure, but that's there. And so, yeah, really the mission is how do we create this flywheel of growth for the ReFi and regen ecosystem and movement through our kind of local nodes, drawing in new members and creating experiments, through supporting ReFi projects, through connecting with investors and accelerator programs and founder circles, and this kind of culture studio, the events, the podcast, the blog, and all together creating that kind of flywheel for ReFi growth. And yeah, the ultimate aim of that is how do we create the blossoming of 1,000, 1 million ReFi experiments and regenerate the economy, disrupting all of these legacy sectors that are extracting and depleting, and creating that regenerative future that we're all dreaming about. And so yeah, I'm going to hand over to Pranav because ReFi DAO, we recently worked with Carbon Copy to develop a kind of state of ReFi industry report, looking at what are the key opportunities, challenges, projects, clusters of things going on. And yeah, so I'd love to hand over to Pranav to take us through that a little bit more.
Amazing. Just going to adjust one thing here on the video stream. Okay, so now we have this. Okay, we're just
Can we
going
not ask questions, by the way?
quick question. Yes, absolutely.
If you can just wait for a minute, maybe like 3 minutes, and I'm going to just conclude the presentation, and then we'll go to the Q&A.
All right, fantastic.
Because then I can bring Monty back up here to speak with everybody.
Okay, just gonna make sure we're sharing the right screen in this.
Thank you, folks. While Jimmy's just doing that, just want to put this in perspective. We are currently streaming across 26 plus different platforms. We have a room full of some very interested people in Brussels in a building called the Commons Hub. So this is definitely some new economic paradigms that are being built out, and we are inviting everybody to be part of these. So very quickly, thank you everybody for your patience. I just want to very quickly take you through the language that most people are familiar with. A lot of this, what you've just heard out here, may have sounded different to you, because a lot of this is the language that has been built up within the space. But then as we go forward, as we connect it up here,
maybe just talk through this for a second. I'll just get it because it's in Jimmy's thing.
Okay. So what you see on your screen, okay, we'll just wait a minute. No worries.
And let's just confirm with this here as well. Alrighty. Yep. Okay, and the work adventure is in fact sharing entire screen. Hey, the infinity. All right, great. And then you can go into presentation mode, is it? Or is this fine?
Slideshow. Right.
Slideshow top right. There we are. Okay.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Jimmy.
Thank you.
But can I have a question to the previous presenter of Wi-Fi?
Sure. I mean, we would have. Cool. Okay. Can we bring you back, Monty?
No, I don't. Listen here.
Yeah, continue. Let's do Q&A afterwards.
Cool.
We'll
Cool.
just finish the presentation.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I just want to bring everybody back to the language that people are more conversant with, especially around people from the investing space and people maybe who are reading about this in the newspapers. You would have come across terms like tokenized ecological assets, and this is essentially, bringing a lot of these carbon credits or other biodiversity credits essentially on chain and offering them to investors, to retail, and really to the industry to participate in. I also want to just briefly touch upon another industry trend, and that is ecological accounting. And this is again just putting in perspective that for the longest time we have been speaking about carbon credits as just one way to address climate action, but there's actually a bunch of other indicators that can really be brought up for language and really be used to address climate action. And want to draw everybody's attention to the ecological benefits framework, which has been developed by Lexicon. And again, highlighting this specifically because this is really bridging this language between what is happening in the carbon, climate, crypto space and really bringing it to what's really happening in the regular world out there. People who are investors, people who are looking to do business and looking to address climate action. This is another very interesting feature of the Web3 space, which is starting to create impact, which is around network societies. Thank you so much for that, Jimmy. And what we call coordinations. And what we are seeing out here is that the technology is enabling decentralized scaling, is enabling collaboration at scale, and is in general really allowing participants who might otherwise have been out of the market, so to speak, to really participate in climate action. A very important element and another industry trend is the integration with decentralized physical infrastructure networks. And this is again just recognizing the fact that a lot of the infra, the digital infra that is being built out today is actually decentralized and again needs to be built out. It's not really in place. It's a huge opportunity that directly I would say is in contrast to the existing paradigms and is definitely of interest for all investors. Just briefly touching about the market potential, most people are familiar with the voluntary carbon market, which is reported to be growing up to 40 billion in 2030. An important element of that is the digital MRV, which Monty touched upon earlier. Microfinance, again, is an important element and a huge opportunity in the space. And the expectation is that it will grow to the north of about 300 billion by 2030. Adaptation finance, we all know that climate is definitely a huge, I would say, expected change, and there is again the opportunity to work with ReFi with Web3 technologies to really address this gap. So yeah, just very quickly again highlighting this and leaving you with this, right? The tokenized real world assets opportunity, which you again may be starting to get familiar with the language, trusted on-chain ecological credits, and lastly micro lending. So this, in a nutshell, really is the opportunity that is out there for investors, for startups, and really for us as a species, right, to come together in a decentralized, at-scale manner to address climate action. So I'm just going to leave it at that and bring back Monty, and I'm sure you have a bunch of questions for that amazing presentation that happened. Monty.
I also have some questions for you, sir.
Cool. Let's do it. Questions.
Okay, we're just going to take the broadcast off the stream so that we are only looking at the lovely presenters. Wow, into infinity. Okay. We're just going to stop sharing. All right. Here we are. And video full screen. Okay, fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, as you were.
So,
Let's take one digitally and then one from the
first
room.
off, thank you
Right.
for the lovely presentation. My question, I have a couple, of course. First off, seeing the great growth opportunities in this space is amazing, but what is your, what in your opinion is the biggest barrier to your insane growth at the moment? What is stopping you from doing all of the things that you're saying that you want to do? Let's put it up.
Yeah, I think from my side, I think, while the technologies that we're talking about have amazing potential and have some awesome applications today, there's still some technical, some adoption barriers to doing that. I think, we've seen a lot of amazing experimentation and innovation in Web3 and blockchains. A lot of the challenges have been solved, from transaction fees to the energy impact to all of this kind of stuff, and smart accounts are kind of just getting going. So I think really we're just at the precipice, I think, where the technology is ready for mass adoption. Like no one, it's not going to scale to this many users if people are still having to deal with private keys and etc. But so I think the usability is of course one, and I think that is in my view around the corner, and we see innovations like this where I don't even need to understand crypto to put this on my wrist and I can instantly start transacting, and it connects with Apple Pay, and I'm sending tokens around. So that's really encouraging to see. That's from one side, and then the other side, I think carbon markets and some of these markets have had their reputation severely damaged, and in my view, rightly so, because there's been a lot of fraud, there's been a lot of misrepresentation, and the MRV hasn't been good enough. Some of the kind of accountability mechanisms haven't stacked up. And again, I see that as an opportunity for ReFi to come in and bring these technologies to increase the trust, to increase the accountability, to overcome those challenges. But there's a lot of trust needs to be rebuilt. Let's just put it that, and that's not going to happen overnight.
You give me a very good entry into my second question, but thank you for the first question. Answer the first question. So, speaking in trust and sustainability, of course, then we have to speak a little bit about greenwashing. What steps are you taking to make sure that the investments that you are doing are making an actual social impact instead of just pretending?
So that's a great question, and really, that addresses a fundamental shift in terms of how the space is really being looked at. Yeah, thanks Jimmy for that. That's just some additional light on me. So the building block of our entire industry really is the digital MRV, the measurement, reporting, and verification, and that essentially is what is crucial. Adoption of that is really crucial to the success of the industry and of the business as a whole. And with those elements, with those technologies in place, there's absolutely the risk, as one would call it, is substantially lowered. There's obviously always going to be bad actors, no question about that. But technology really lowers the cost, allows the sufficient decentralization to really enable a large number of stakeholders to participate, and really puts in place the right incentives for most of the actors to do what needs to be done, and not as one would call it misuse or game the system, right? So that's in a nutshell DMRV. That's the answer. That's how we are addressing it.
Yeah, and this stuff is hard. Like impact validation is hard already, and then when we try and move to distributed and decentralized impact validation, the difficulties just get even harder. But that's where I think a lot of these technologies have potential to innovate and explore and improve those models, and ultimately create these kind of better impact validation.
I just also want to use this opportunity, to go back to your earlier question and add one point, right? Really, the success of all businesses in this space really are connected to the success of climate action as a whole. And we've already starting to see the regulatory tailwinds come in, and that's definitely a huge push for the entire sector. So I just want to put it in that perspective.
Yes. So am I correct to assume that you use, for example, game theory in order to make the actors more honest?
I mean, we've got Marcus in the room. I don't know if Marcus has a take on that one.
Incentives are very powerful mechanisms. But they have to be deployed.
Okay. And do you have any research to back it up? Now, of course, I have to find out. Do you have any research to back it up?
Yeah, I mean, have a look at the State of Refi report that Pranav was.
State of Refi report.
Yes.
And you will be finding this link in the YouTube channel as well, right? For all the people on the lovely YouTube too.
Yes, and there's also a DeepIn industry report that Carbon Copy have just released as well, looking at the opportunities of impact and DeepIn, decentralized physical infrastructure networks.
The final question then for me. You have a nice thing on your wrist. I really like this. Do you have prototypes and stuff like that you would be willing to let people that have cybersecurity backgrounds have a go at it?
Yeah, absolutely. This is a citizens wallet, so it's what has been developed here to enable any communities to easily start transacting with local currencies. Radically reducing the cost. I mean, I don't know how conventionally to introduce a new currency to develop these wallets is going to be extremely expensive, and now it's a bit of software that can be replicated in anywhere in the communities. Security-wise, I wouldn't want to put my savings on this, but when you're transacting within a small community in that kind of manner, that's. The stakes aren't as high as if you're putting your whole savings somewhere. So yes, use Ethereum and a ledger if you're storing your savings, but if you're looking to rapidly transact within a community and build up those kind of flows, then something like this is incredibly powerful technology.
I can already think of lots of different use cases. Amazing. Please link the white paper or any information you have in the YouTube so that other people also watch, but I'm gonna please send me one over and I'm going to play with it.
Awesome, will do. Does anyone in the room have any questions or we can? Yes.
I'm already working in impact measurement, not super Web3 and not in a community. I'm working in a private company. So how can I bring this more into the Web3 space or into the community, decentralize it? Because I come from the scientific background, so a biologist, I measure biodiversity, water, carbon, etc. But how can I integrate more into what you were just presenting?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I think there is a number of tools and methodologies and frameworks. We mentioned the ecological benefits framework. We mentioned things like Karma Gap and Hypercerts and the kind of funding ecosystems that exist in Web3 through platforms like Giveth and Gitcoin. And so I think depending on what the project is and how it works, there could be potential to kind of plug it into these tools and engage in that ecosystem as well.
So an easy start really would be to look at what are all the projects which are, for example, as part of CCN or as part of RefiDAO, right? And then just have collaborations with them, right? And really understand how they are deploying, because see, ultimately any usage is contextual, right? There is a use case where it is deployed. So you'll find a lot of inspiration, a lot of use cases already out there. Using technology stacks, and it'll make a lot more, I would say, the application or the way it's going to map onto what you are doing, right? Those synergies will become very apparent once you do spend some time and seeing, okay, what other projects in this DeSci space, for example, are doing work, and what is the stack that they're using, how are they using it, and so on and so forth, right? So collaborations are the best way forward, right? You really don't have to reinvent the wheel. You just want to see, what others have done, build on their shoulders, take the work further. Yeah.
I can send you some stuff.
Totally.
It's gonna help.
Yes, people to collaborate with, because I don't know
Totally.
who's doing it.
I just want to put this in perspective. This was not the first pitch, people, right? This was just like a 101, a primer, so to speak, to set up the stage, right, for what follows now. Thank you so much, Monty, and thank you so much, all the audience online. And I'm going to bring back Jimmy to take this forward. Jimmy.
All right. Well done, Monty. Well done, Pranav. All All right, so now we're moving to our impact investor panel. So joining us IRL is Jerry of Regenaissance and also Chital of Block Capital. Please have a seat here. Actually, it would be better if the light was just a little bit better. So what I'm going to do is actually have you stand on this side, please. All right, so join me on this side. All right, there we are. Much better the window behind us. All right, so we also have several esteemed impact investors joining us virtually. So in the virtual arenas, I would like to, could you give a quick introduction of Regenaissance and who we have joining us virtually?
We have our lovely CEO, our boss of Veritas. Let me get those off. You can actually see the hat where we are. It's a green tech investment firm based out of Munich, Germany, helping people to come together and start their startups in the green technology field and through multiple levels of capital. Joseph can give you a little more insight on that. So thank you, Joseph, for joining us and being here. It's very kind. And
Could you say a few words, Joseph, or? Okay, all right.
Thank you for the intro, Lonnie. And I hope you can hear me all, guys.
Yes, we can.
First of all, amazing what you do here. And I just want to give a little introduction about Veritas. As Veritas, we are trying to build a green technology level cluster based on a DAO concept that we want to realize in German, because we see real world assets are key to actually bring success to the blockchain. And so we took the angle that we want to make it as sophisticated as possible. So we tried to launch our whole system under German law, and so we founded a profit company in Ltd and a non-profit company, and together they are acting as a CMO, as a cluster management organization, and this is all based on one security token issued from us, and this will be our base government and currency layer for all the smart contract technology we're putting on them in our cluster and accelerator. And we follow a found and build strategy. This means people come to us, found saying, what is your major, what are you good at? And we focusing on the rest of taking this action from him in order to bring a product early to the fast to the market. And what's our share? We're getting an early agreement that we are getting a term sheet, and when it's carved out or founded, we are getting a minority stake in this venture. And so we're building up step by step with startups and hopefully sustainable portfolio.
Fantastic. Thank you, Joseph. All right, well, while we're in the virtual world, we also have the esteemed Muru Patel who's joining us. Muru Patel, could you maybe say just a little bit of words of introduction? I believe you are currently muted. Yes, we hear you. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can, good sir.
Oh, okay. Pretty much a veteran in the tech space for the last 40 years with some huge companies as a serial disruptive innovator with the start of mobile phones, Java.com, Siemens, Sun Microsystems, blah, blah. Done multiple angel VC kinds of work during the .com, pre-.com. Passion in real estate investment took me out of the corporate world, and I set up my own property investment fund some 21 years ago. However, with the crisis in 2008, I went back to taking the whole asset tokenization side. Now have last 10 years into the crypto and blockchain space, done several books, and got a huge fund. Can't disclose the amount, but Jimmy knows. And focus purely on social and environment sustainable impact based ecosystems that we are building through equity based investments. So not fake partnerships or anything like that, but just pure equity based investments. Got about 30 something term sheets signed up already. Minimum ticket 1 million, maximum 15 million.
Fantastic. Rubitel, thank you so much for joining us. It's an honor to have you here, as well as all the esteemed investors. We also have Chital here with us, IRL. Could you please give a brief introduction?
Sure. I'm Chital from Block Capital. we are decentralizing wealth management. And we're doing that across all blockchains. We're using account abstraction. I noticed somebody earlier talked about smart accounts. We've been working on those for about 12 months. And we'd love to see projects that are doing great work in the refi area. So, thanks for having me here.
Thank you so much. All right. Okay, so we're going to have Pranav giving a couple questions, quick ones. I know we're a little bit behind schedule due to the torrential downpour here of the rain, but we'd first like to kick things off with asking about your investment thesis. So what goes into some of your decision-making criteria when you look for some impact investments to make? Maybe we could go in the same order. So Jerry, you can maybe speak for Regenaissance?
Something that I always try to look at, I look at several factors. One is, look, what are they doing in the world? What problem are they solving? The second thing I'm looking at is, how does it actually make money? Is it a sustainable thing that can continue to make money? If it's not going to have a strong business model or a business case, it's hard for anything to work on anything other than a charity venture, which is a different sector. Like, we want actual businesses that understand that there is a way to finance themselves, and they have researched that thoroughly and know what they're doing as far as their way forward and have a way forward to it. I'll let Joseph speak further on that, I suppose, since we're going in the same order. If you'd like to go ahead and what some things that you really look at closely.
I think you brought some crucial points, but what I wanted to add to this comment, it's in my mind all about the most crucial point, the founder or the founder team, and the motivation of the founder, because the founder will struggle, he will fall, and it's all about how often he can stand up, because this is always a long way to success, and you will run against hurdles, and the most startups fail in my mind because they don't have some long-term endurance or motivation to really put it through. And this is I wanted to add to your comment. I think this is one where we're looking most on how motivated is the team, how they set it up, and how's the chemistry. This is in my mind, besides the USP and the business model, probably 60 to 70% of the key factor for the success model of the startup in the early stages. Thank you.
Very good.
All right, thank you. And then moving to Muru Patel. What is your investment thesis, Mr. Patel?
Thesis. So I look at real world, real impact types of projects, but also incorporate what's happening in future using tech. So I'm not a big UN nations maximalist or an activist who say these 17 SDG goals are the best things since sliced bread, because I look at common sense stuff, and common sense stuff, which is what I've been brought up to do from birthplace in Kenya onwards, and having lived around the world, is basic things like food, water, clean air, which happens to be part of some of the SDG things. However, I look at real impact. So none of these overuse of a technical set of team members wish list to say, would it be nice and sexy to put a blockchain tokenized asset of carbon credits or tokenized blah, 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 where people just use words for the sake of making their decks look pretty. Let me give you some examples. So for example, in India, ladies are generally, where they are attached with farmers, do the milking of the cows. So they have to look after the cattle, they've got to give them good healthy feed, and then by the time they've done the milking and take it to the dairies, the milk turns to yogurt based on the means of transport they use. So one of the systems we put in is a full, again, blockchain loan management system where they can take their daily cash flow, which is generally less than even, $10, $20 per day, to do all sorts of things. Okay, feed their family, do get the feeds for the cow, get all the usual stuff done to transport the milk. So we collect it through EV vehicles. So again, helps for climate action. We take mass distribution and take it to the dairy, collection points to the dairy, and give them money in their wallet through QR codes, and they pay for whatever they need to pay for. Just a small example. Energy. Everyone talks about putting solar energy as it's a fashionable thing. Let's get back to common sense. How much energy is used with all this mining and not only Bitcoin, but generally all these data centers around the world, and with AI coming through, and trust me, some of my colleagues are heads of NVIDIA's, Google's, Oracle's, that background in the Valley. So why don't we look at reducing energy? So we have a patented water-cooled immersion technology where we reduce between 50 and 80% of the energy consumption. That's today's solution, affordable just by reducing energy consumption. So there's more practical ways of using energy sensibly. And I could carry on with water, food generation, and we have all these real-life projects. However, the tech part comes in as, yes, there is some carbon benefits that we bring to the table, but there's also social impact, which we look at first. And then the thesis, we look at all the basics. Some of the guys have already covered it. If it's not a sustainable model, and if people are just doing it for the love of saving the planet, that's bullshit. So, it needs to be sustainable. Let's get back to common sense. If you're going to just fund some idiots going out and painting museums and statues to say that let's be sustainable, get a voice out there, stupid. That doesn't solve any problems. So we look at measurable ways of what impact are they doing, how many lives they are saving, how much clean water, food, energy consumption, and the whole business model where I like the disruptive way. So even some of my, again, old colleagues in the Facebooks, Googles, YouTubes, all these guys who take a lot of the money from us, and we are the clients. So it's a greedy model. My model is giving 70, 80% out back to who the people are that contributes to their business model. So that's a social impact. So even if they earn $1, they can eat, drink, whatever they can do. And most of these people who generally have the likes, comments, and all these followers of all the big superstars and popular people, they don't earn shit, right? So that to me is social impact. So I look at tech used in a way that will really have proper social impact that is measurable, rather than just doing some crazy greenwashing based projects. Okay, I hope that gives it a high level. I mean, I have written a 100-page document on how we do all this. So yeah, that's a summary.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Maru. All right. Okay. Last but certainly not least, we have Shital of Block Capital. Go ahead.
So basically, we look for people who are trying to make blockchain easy. We want blockchain to get to the masses. So anybody we see who's highly innovative, who's capable of doing that, I think is somebody worth backing in one way or the other. And I think we're at this point, as somebody said earlier, where we really can take blockchain now to the masses, to the billions. And that's a massive opportunity for anybody in this room, anybody on this call. This is the moment. So really, let's make it easy. Anybody who's making it easy is somebody worth backing.
Absolutely.
Wonderful. So great to hear about your investment thesis. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. I think we're going to move swiftly on to the pitches. All right. So this is a curated list of impact investments. Firstly, joining us is Amir from Filecoin. Sorry, File Ledger. I'm sorry about that. File Ledger. All right. And so let us share the pitch deck. Right. So this has been. All right. Just one moment here. All right. You sent it to me? You sent it to me?
On Telegram, I sent it.
Telegram, you sent it to me. Okay, great. All right. You definitely didn't send it to me. Did you send it to me? Why don't we start with someone who's... I've already got it ready. Sam, would you please come up here to start? I've got yours ready to go, and in the meantime, we'll be prepping the next one. All right. Here we are. Sharing the screen. The entire screen. And here we are. All right, so you can just click down as you go. Please stand over here, and happy days.
Perfect, thank you.
All right.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for having me here. So yeah, there's been a lot of great introductions to what the hell is refi and how can we actually have a chance at regenerating this planet. When I've been thinking about this idea and about this problem, I think it comes down to some very tangible things that we can actually do. And we know how to regenerate, we know how to restore ecosystems, we know how to recreate water cycles, we know how to reforest, but we need to do these things now. And we cannot wait another 10, 20, 30 years for the technology to mature in order to get started with climate action, because we're literally running out of time. And how can we actually start to do this now? Well, what is the biggest market in the world? It's real estate. Real estate has reached $600 trillion in total capitalization over the last years. And so a few years ago, I got started with the idea of how can we leverage real estate as a force for good, as a way to put money towards regeneration. If we can shift part of the world's real estate, mainly farmland, but also residential real estate, into something that is creating tangible value for all of life and not just for real estate portfolios, we can actually have a chance of regenerating the planet. So over the last 4 years, we've been building a village in Portugal as a first prototype for creating technology-enabled regenerative villages that can actually have a chance at scaling rapidly and packing in technologies that make it much more accessible for modern citizens to have access to spaces where they can live, work, play, and so on.
Keep going.
So basically, Traditional Dream Factory is the name of the first project in Portugal. It's located an hour and a half south of Lisbon, 30 minutes to the ocean. It's basically a convergence point for technologists, nature enthusiasts, permaculturists, artists, and so on. It's a place to live, a place to learn. We're also seeing it as an educational center for learning how to build regenerative settlements. We've been active for 4 years. We had about 1,500 visitors already. So far it's 100% funded through our members, about 600,000 raised for the current developments. And we have a reforestation project of about 2 hectares that's being tracked on Open Forest Protocol, for example, which means that we can actually quantify the amount of carbon that we're sequestrating, and we're tracking things like, we will be tracking things like biodiversity and all the different ecological benefits that the project is providing. What we're building is a village, so it consists of a co-living development, a co-housing development, a regenerative farm. I believe in integrating the different solutions that we see to have a more reconnected approach to how we live, having a connection to the places we eat, the things that we eat, where the food comes from, but also rebuilding water systems and energy systems. So it's not just something that we're importing from somewhere outside and leaving a negative footprint in that process, but rather looking at every system and integrating it in order to leave a positive trace. We have an approved architectural plan that we are going to start the development of in December. All of these is basically done in an old chicken farm, 1,500 square meters of existing building. So it's quite traditional real estate development. It's fully legal and approved by the local municipality. And the particularity of it is that we're bridging that into a Web3 space by allowing a token to give access to the space. We're tracking our impact along many different areas, but the main one being regenerative agriculture. We have a 10-hectare planned food forest system that will be producing way more food than what we can consume internally, with the idea to be producing exports of regenerative food that we can nourish people around. Actually, Portugal, even though it has a lot of sun and so on, it actually produces less food than what it consumes. And that's a problem because that means that even Portugal is importing food from abroad, which really doesn't make sense in a climate context. We're restoring a water retention landscape. We already built our first lake and a swale, which means that we will be capturing millions of cubic meters of rain every year. Because in the 6 months of winter, there's actually plenty of rain in Portugal, but in the 6 months of summer, you have no rain at all. And so we need to basically retain more water to be able to provide more greenery in the landscape, more biomass growth, and thus promoting more biodiversity and so on.
Jimmy joined.
Yeah, I'll just continue quickly through those. So basically, we are currently raising some money through a secured debt round, which is backed by the real estate assets, as well as we have a token which is live on the website. You're going to go to traditionaldreamfactory.com and find it. The token gives you perpetual access right to the village. So for our residents, people that want to come and live with us, they can actually have a stake in the village and being able to come and live with us and get a perpetual access. And this token is backed by the access to the space, and eventually the whole space is basically a very traditional real estate development, which includes mainly hospitality. We're looking at building spaces to host over 100 people eventually, and we expect to get started by 2026 is when we're going to be going live with a full finished development. Also, we've already been operational for over 3 years and already hosted multiple events. A lot of the refi community has been coming through. Second business that we are deploying is a farm-to-table restaurant, basically food production, but also food experience within the context of the village, expecting to serve about 75 meals per day at a minimum. And finally, a food product incubator. We've already created a few food products like hot sauce. We have a Blue Lotus kombucha, but we're also producing biochar, and we're also producing educational materials and so on. And so all of these kind of products that can be created through a community living in a physical space with access to high-tech tools, but also low-tech tools, and access to land to create, to grow products. It enabled us to be an incubator. That's it. That's our team. Luna is with me here. We have a great advisory board and a bunch of people who have been supporting the project throughout the years. And basically, we are a living ecosystem. We're a village, and we see that as kind of the right scale to look at regeneration and for seeing how we can transform a civilization into a regenerative one.
Sam, do we have any questions for Sam before we move to the next presentation? Yep, Sino?
Yeah, Sam, really good presentation. My question would be on the financial side. Can you explain a bit more how you plan to create this organization? Is it a cooperative? Is it a private enterprise? How do you think of creating this legal structure?
Yeah, so we already have the whole legal structure set up. Basically, the way that we structured it was we have a local vehicle in Portugal, which is a company, which is a real estate development company, very simple. This company owns the land and does the development. In turn, this company is owned by a non-profit, which is based in Switzerland, which acts as a bridge into the Web3 space. So when you purchase your token, you're basically supporting a non-profit that in turn own a company that holds the land in Portugal. And so that's kind of the legal sandwich that we created. And so, for example, we have a loan instrument, so you can give a loan to the company in Portugal. That loan is uncollateralized by the real estate assets, or you can purchase a token which gives you a long-term stake in the project and gives you access and the utility into the space.
And the token is on a bonding curve, so that means as demand for the token goes up, if it becomes more attractive to live there, more people want to buy the token, there's a defined increase in the price if there's increased demand according to the bonding curve. Is that correct, Sam?
Yeah, exactly. And basically what we've been doing is we spend a lot of time building this whole technology and the whole platform and creating a token that holds real utility, being able to actually check into a physical village. And I think we're the only token in the world that currently gives you access to real estate in this sense. But on top of that, what we're doing this year is now we're applying for EU grant funding, which we're going to have to answer in the next couple of weeks. If that goes through, then I mean that the whole development is actually already funded for the first phase, like the whole co-living. And that means that additional token sales and so on that will come in actually go towards like expanding the vision.
Come on, I
Yeah, we're gonna move. All right, thank you so much, Sam. Amir's up next. Okay. Sorry, we have investor questions for you. Sorry about that. One more moment.
No, an essential question, not an investor question.
Okay, essential question.
I'm assuming that this will be launched with a big party and everything. No, we need to know the date.
So it's already live. So the token already went live 1 year ago on Cello mainnet. So anyone can already go to the website, purchase the token. The next step is for us to actually do the construction and all of that. And the next big event will be the Go Live event, which is basically when the project is built up and the token becomes liquid. Because right now the token is locked, so you can purchase the token. But it is locked up until the construction is completed, and we expect that to happen in the next year or 18 months or so.
Okay, so 1 year from now, big party, Portugal.
Exactly. But you can already come right now.
Really? What will I see there? There's nothing constructed.
Yeah, we're fully operational. We have glamping operations, and so you can already come and stay there. It's not the full finished product, like we don't have the full finished suites, but you can come and stay in a glamping. We have planted over 3,000 trees. We have a food forest. We have chicken, all of that. So we're already producing food and already hosting experiences.
How far are you from the nearest what I call infrastructure for hospitals, schools, things like that?
So we're about 20 minutes to the nearest hospital, 10 minutes to a train station, 30 minutes to the ocean, an hour and a half to Lisbon, an hour and a half to Faro, about an hour and a half to big airports.
Okay, and nearest airport being Faro, right?
Either Faro or Lisbon, both are an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, halfway house, okay. And in terms of this village project, you talk a lot about tokens. Have you costed out what, if money was no object, what this eco-village would cost? Have you done that sort of costings?
To build it, you mean?
Yeah, to build the village, if money was not an object,
so
what would your vision be to build this eco-village?
Yeah, I mean, so it's stages, but essentially the whole village is about 5 million euros. That's roughly the whole amount, including real estate acquisition, development costs, construction, and so on and so on. So that's roughly what we are targeting. But for the round this year, it's like more or less 1 million that we are getting towards the construction of the co-living development, which is the first phase. And then eventually in phase 2, we have 25 hectares of land where we can build more houses. We can build another 4,000 square meters of houses.
And in terms of that 5 million, the tokenized way of raising funds or grants is the only option you're considering?
No, so we have two options. One is a secured loan for investors who can put at least 50,000 euros, and that gets a fixed 7 to 8% interest, and that's collateralized by the assets. Or the second way is through purchasing the token, which holds potential upside, but also which holds risk. In case the project doesn't go through, then your token isn't actually backed by anything.
So what would be the return on investment if someone came in with cash?
So if you if you're taking on debt, then you get 7 to 8% fixed interest, which is collateralized by the asset. So it's like very safe. It's like real estate play. Or you can purchase a token, and then the token price will be determined by the market. So depending, how many people actually want to come and live there in 1, 2, or 3 years, when the whole village is built out, then the token price will likely increase in value. And the floor price of the token, the price at which we issued the first token before the raise of the prices, was the total cost of development divided by the total number of tokens that are available, which correspond to the total occupancy that the village is going to have.
Yeah, but everyone dreams of token prices going up. What I'm trying to ask you is, how is that sustainable for the token price to go up?
Because it's the token is the only way that you can gain access to the village, and it's a physical village. It's a physical real estate development, which, like I said, we're targeting about 5 million to go into it, but it already was about 1 million. That's what the appraisal came in at. And so ultimately, this token is the only way to gain access to that real estate. And so if real estate prices go up, or if there's food scarcity, or if there's a lack of housing, or any other reasons why you would want to come and attend the village, say because you want to go to events and so on, then all of those are reasons for which people would want to have the token to gain access to the village.
Okay. And how do you manage the waste management side of it in an eco manner?
So we're doing our own composting. So every organic waste is being cycled by us. And then for recycling currently, we rely on Portuguese infrastructure for plastic and metal recycling and so on. But there could be down the road more options for that. Like
there's water recycling as well.
And there's water recycling as well. We built a helophyte filter, so all of the grey waters that come out of the system from showers, kitchen and so on, they all get cycled and get put into our reforestation project. So a whole 2,000 trees that we planted in our reforestation has only been fed with water that has been cycled through our helophyte filtration system.
Okay, maybe we'll take it offline if Jimmy can connect, because we're building some smart ecotopia villages, and including schools, telemedicine, remote schooling, all the water recycling. So we have our sister companies that does water recycling, waste management, Japanese technology, which does waste to water, waste to hydrogen, waste to fuel, waste to manure, waste to plastic to fuel, all sorts of solutions on waste management. And then same with the energy side, same with some of the other things as well. So maybe we should
great
have a detailed look at your
I'm sure we have some different technology pieces we can plug and extend that to you as well.
Yeah, I think we could add a lot of value there as well, including money, to accelerate your program.
Awesome, thank you so much. Looking forward to chat.
All right, next up we have Amir, and we are ready with the pitch deck. So let me just grab this real quick. I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here. Rightio. Where? Oh, Eric Fogg. Okay, great. And we are ready. Off to the races. Oops, here we are. Okay. File ledger is up next. Here we grow. Entire screen. And the share screen is officially here. Alright. Take it away, Amir.
Awesome. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot to the amazing Refi folks over here, as well as the audience tuning in online. Like a big shout out to Sam. Actually, I was at the amazing village in Portugal 3 years ago, visiting my first Refi only event, understanding Refi on the individual, economic and ecological level, and great workshop. So yeah, I can only support you, Mr. Patel. That's an amazing project. But yeah, happy to jump into File Ledger.
Keep talking.
Awesome.
And away we go. Okay.
Nice. So I actually, like, my personal journey in Refi started, I guess, with my studies. I was, after my master's, managing director of a research institute in Münster, where I was researching blockchain technology across the fields of data, sustainability, and automotive. Actually, a friend of mine inspired me to look into sustainability. He didn't go to McKinsey, but worked for a sustainability startup, which I found really inspiring. After like 6 years having a Web3 venture studio, I dropped out of my PhD, which was part of that program, and started 6 years ago a small venture studio. So after 6 years working at the intersection of data, sustainability, and even mobility with FileLedger, I'm super happy of having met this amazing team of long-standing experts in IT, in insurance mathematics, in law, in financial law. So we have also interesting fund structure. Maybe before diving into what FileLedger is, a small summary of what actually the climate crisis solution is about, which we want to tackle over here. So the two-step approach to actually combat climate crisis, I think we all agreed on and we all understand. The first step is about bringing transparency to the carbon footprint you actually create, to understand where that comes from, and then implementing solutions, processes, new technologies to reduce that carbon footprint. This is something at core of FileLedger. We'll be diving into that. The second step of the solution is actually compensating that carbon footprint, that remaining carbon footprint, which we can't avoid, where the climate finance market, most exemplified by the carbon credit market, comes into place. Also here, FileLedger does groundwork. Before jumping in, so one accelerating movement for FileLedger and the timing why it is important is that in the last 2 years we've created as much data as in our entire history of humanity. So now with blockchain, it is a good time to make the data transparent, make it ownable, and we call that digital data twin. All of us are creating a digital data twin. It can be a factory, it can be a carbon credit, it can be our social profiles. So with FileLedger, we want you to empower data, to embrace transparency, and actually own your digital data twin. Let us dive into that. Perhaps one more note before that. So we all know about the tokenization. I think the CTO of Ripple was talking about $18 trillion worth of assets in the next 4 years moving on-chain, from bonds to real estate to carbon credits. Now, before the tokenization, we have to have a data authentication, a document authentication, in order to trust those tokenized assets. So FileLedger actually comes in place with the data storage, decentralized, at least in different features, data ownership, as well as data authentication. Adding to the tokenization, that's also part of our solution, with a fund structure behind it, allowing specifically for climate assets to also be securitized and offered to the institutional investors. But let's jump in a bit more. I think the vision is clear, what we already explained. We want everybody to harness the power of their data, to embrace transparency and sustainability, as well as data ownership. Now, it's nice to have a digital data twin, but what we have to do as FileLedger, we feel, is creating the financial benefits for those specific industries to actually want to own the digital data ownership. Maybe just to explain it in like 3 ways how we manage that. So by authenticating data and mapping it, for example, to carbon credits or to a car or a real estate object, we are able to data-driven prove the value of the asset with historical and real-time data. The second benefit which we create, besides increasing the value of your asset, is actually earning money through data monetization, as well as saving money through ecosystem asset lifecycle services, as we call that. We'll take a look at that in a second. Now, getting at the core of our problem, besides the climate crisis as a whole, looking more into the data layer, which we see as fundamental over here, is in the traditional world, we have a lack of data ownership. We all know that the Web2 companies have been growing faster, or like replacing the old companies on the, as we call it, the data dilemma, on the cost of us being stripped away of our data sovereignty. The second issue we have is the fragmented data systems. We all know that centralized systems cause interoperability issues. The existing decentral solutions, which actually tackle the first two, they lack enterprise features. So our dear CEO and inventor and founder of FileLedger, Eric Falk, has his PhD in AI, machine learning, and has been helping the last 7 years corporates on how to actually implement, based on AI use cases, their data storage, their data pipelining, so has a very firm understanding of what the enterprises actually need. He forked IPFS, Filecoin. We are amazed by Filecoin and love what they have been doing, and try to add value with the enterprise layer on top of that. Let's take a look at the solution. So maybe essentially the IPFS fork has a token-gated privacy layer on top of it, which allows to combine two things which are kind of paradox, it's one-time transparency, but on the other hand, privacy. We'll get into that, how we do it, understanding that corporates can't use fully decentralized systems where you can create a node in North Korea, download all of the information and decrypt it after a while. We have taken a hybrid decentral approach, essentially meaning that you can choose the degree of decentralization in a very easy manner with integrations of Amazon Web Services, Google Cloud, and also further solutions. So we all timestamp that on the blockchain. We have a digital data twin NFT, which is basically the vessel of the digital twin. It's an innovation in itself where a website is minted as an NFT, where you can attach historical and real-time data to it. And the data wallet up there actually enables the data ownership in a B2B2C manner, something which regulatories are also pushing for, especially in Europe. So the asset life cycle service we already discussed. Just to understand how much time do we have, so that
we discussed 5 to 7 minutes.
Okay, understood. Perfect. So I'll keep it very short.
Please, I appreciate that.
Thank you. So basically, we see different markets over here next to the $1 trillion moving on chain. We see the global data storage market, which is opening up to decentral data storage solutions, which we want to provide and support to. Now, the online retail market is our business strategy where we feel confident of actually not bringing the product on chain, but actually selling the product. We agree terms. We've got like an amazing deal with the biochar factory where we have, we're bringing exclusive the assets on chain and also supporting in the sales by also using our fund structure, making it available to institutional investors. Now, usability we talked about a bit. So our user interface is essentially a website. So that's the easiest way of actually onboarding companies into blockchain. The website is then enabled with NFT, leverage decentral data storage network and data wallets. So that's a cool thing. Yeah, we've got different revenue models from taking a cut to taking a transaction fee. We've got different things in the pipeline. A few projects already closed. The ones closed are the two ones at the bottom. The others we are still working from an MOU to translate them into a partnership. Actually, we have like an amazing news. We partnered yesterday with the Eco Channel, the biggest sustainability TV channel in the US with 8 million viewers, 20,000 B2B customers with 4 million employees. We'll be sharing what we are planning to do with them. Yeah, I mentioned that we've got an amazing set of co-founders. I joined actually as a late co-founder, having started at the end of the year as an advisor. But we've got Dr. Eric Falt, adjunct professor in Luxembourg. In his MBA course, the BNP Paris CEO is taking a look at his learnings of big data and AI. Robert Stepler, insurance mathematician. Here we've got an amazing lawyer, our amazing CMO and industrial designer, as well as a few freelancers. I think we are like almost, we have finished the time. We have like information on our tokenomics and on our rounds. But happy to go into that into detail. Feel free to reach out to us, and thanks a lot for the amazing time here and the chance to talk. So happy for any questions if you have something. If not, happy. Like every week we try to do a Twitter space, and we're always open to be reached. Thanks a lot.
Any questions?
Yeah, how much are you raising?
We're raising We're raising 2.2 million. Basically, we'll have a small family and friends round of 200K with a max ticket of 25 at a 10 mil valuation and a 2 million raise at a 20 mil valuation. We actually made this family and friends round just to like get really good people on board. I was advised to do so instead of raising 2 million at a 20 mil valuation. And we've got amazing people who are like interested in joining, who we're step by step signing the agreements with. That's.
And that competitive analysis, in my view, is not a correct competitive analysis from what you've explained. Because I know of at least 5 companies that does something like this, and those are not your competitors. Because if you think AWS and Pinata and all these guys are your competitors and you want to raise 2 million, you're going to die within a year.
Actually what we do is we act as a reseller of Amazon. So we allow the users to choose their data storage. So at the end of the day, actually we're not competitors, but a value add layer on top.
So I don't see the carbon credit side angle to this then.
So
If you're going to
I'll
use
explain. I'll
AWS.
explain the biochar case which we have actually, and to explain what FileLedger at core does. So we've got different project lines, but with FileLedger Industries, we actually make a twin of the entire factory, a digital twin, meaning that we break up the data silos from the raw material and purchasing documents. We've got the pyrolysis factory and get the data of how much electricity was consumed, how much was produced. Then we've got the biochar coming out. And you can imagine a QR code on the biochar, which links all the information of the entire supply chain. Now, this information is fed into the carbon credit. So this is how we basically create digital twins on a factory level and then go as granular as you want on a product level or on a carbon credit level. We've got
So if they're a partner, how can they be a competitor?
Again, please.
If they are a partner, why did you have them down as a competitor?
So, okay, I'll admit my bad. It was my bad. I was trying to look for different projects which do something similar. So perhaps it was more of a, we are competing perhaps in some ways, but at the end of the day, we're a value-add layer. So thanks for pointing out. I'll adjust accordingly and challenge the slide.
So it's nonsense. Okay. Then you've got your competitors as, I think, VChain and Eon. As well, somewhat.
I don't know.
So, we can just go into the slide, I guess. Oh, I'm not sure how to do this over here.
So I don't see, I really don't see what you are trying to tokenize in terms of data, carbon credits, biochar, all these things, and you've got competitors from all these areas who are way ahead of what you are trying to do. Maybe you're doing a small part which you haven't explained properly. Which people will just put in as a feature later on.
So, like, if you look at the current, I understand where you're coming from. If you look at the current, let's say, technological stack of our, of other projects which want to perhaps focus to the exact needs of enterprises, we feel that we have a unique set.
That's what you haven't done. You haven't done other projects' competitive analysis properly. You can't put AWS and Eon and all these people saying they are your competitors and do kind of like
so like on the
fake
data storage,
valuations.
on the data storage level, they're like perhaps cooperation, right, is something which maybe makes more sense in this case. So they're like different angles of the business which might have an overlap, but at the end of the day, they're like added value from our side. That's how we try to position ourselves. So
we're gonna have to move on to the next.
Even a distributed storage system using IPFS or whatever, 2 million is not going to get you anywhere.
So we're raising, we're having actually a 2 million round, and after that we've got like another 3.5 million in the consecutive raise based on milestones which we think we'll achieve very soon. For example, I mentioned the TV channel. We'll announce you onboard them, create the transactions, we'll right away start the next round. I think we know the life cycle of fundraising in crypto can be a bit faster, so it's actually just a start. And along the roadmap, we plan to before the token launch, we plan to raise almost 18 million, I think. So I was talking about the first raise. Happy to walk you through in detail. And thanks a lot for your questions and critiques.
All right. Thank you so much, Amir. Appreciate you. Questions. All right, we're moving on to our first virtual pitch. Next up is Utkarsh. So Utkarsh, you are with us, good sir. If you could please share screen. That is located at the bottom corner here. Just make sure you are sharing screen. And
go 1 sec.
All right, share your screen with the pitch deck. And we're broadcasting you out to 20 social media channels. Shout out to our partners, Unify as well is on the call, and very much excited to get this Earth coin in front of some wonderful people. All right, great, you've got that up here.
Are you good to see?
Yeah, we get to see them. We can't exactly see you as well, but that's all right. Okay, you know what? Actually, there you go. You're at least on the side there. Okay, fantastic. Take it away, Utkarsh.
Alright guys, hi, my name is Utkarsh, and first off, big shout out to the guys at Regions Unite, all the sponsors, and Let's Go DAO for putting this together. My name is Utkarsh, and I'm here from Solarpunk DAO, where we're building EarthCoin. So what are we tackling, right?
if we look at the whole climate change landscape and the environmental crisis landscape, a lot of things come together where we definitely have excess carbon in the atmosphere, but I think the climate change problem is just the tip of the iceberg for the entire environmental crisis that's harboring beneath. We have degraded soil, we have air pollution, water pollution, it's an extractive economy, we have lost significant chunks of our biodiversity. And here we are today with very ambitious goals of, the world getting net zero by 2045, 50, 60, depending on targets. But we are nowhere close to investing the amount of money that's needed to build that infrastructure out. So what you see below here is like there is close to $9 trillion of capex happening every year all across the world. And a lot of high-end studies have shown that like at least $4 to $5 trillion from that needs to go into projects that are building the net zero infrastructure stack. So, so here we are today in 2024 where, all the sectors that are catering to our core needs are going to undergo like a complete shift. So we're already seeing energy go from fossil fuel, oil, gas to renewables to nuclear. We're seeing agriculture slowly start shifting from being a highly industrial, chemical intensive scene to more organic, regenerative, permaculture based. We're seeing transport systems go from fossil fuel to electric and then now hydrogen in some time. We're seeing a shift in terms of how we value natural ecosystems, where up until now the perception is that let's extract as much as we can in terms of resources, land, etc., and try to milk it for money. But we're now coming to realize that that's the only scarce resource that we actually have on this planet. And if we don't view it as such, it's going to lead to large-scale repercussions. And the last bit is like the infrastructure or the shelter that we inhabit. As of now, it's highly emission producing. We see a transition to more eco-villages, solar punk societies coming up in times to come. So if you club all of this together, we've never had more than 8 billion people on this planet, and we have never had such massive infrastructure to cater to our core needs. And now we have come to a very unambiguous understanding that the entire infrastructure stack needs to shift. So, that brings us to what we are doing with Earth. So Earth is essentially a digital currency that's backed by real-world climate assets, ecosystem services, and solar punk values. I think I'm losing that slide here. One sec. So I mean, it's not here, I'll just go on with it. It's essentially a digital currency that's designed to be fully backed by climate solutions that are, constantly reducing emissions and catering to our core needs. So what do we see the Earth being used as? It's essentially, it's designed to be a funnel where anyone, anywhere in the world can buy and hold Earth, and that act of buying and holding Earth in itself will start funneling money into projects that are directly addressing climate change. And that's why we use the token model so that it becomes easy for anyone, anywhere to be able to directly go purchase the token, and having the provenance of the blockchain to be able to show that all that money is getting allocated transparently. So how does it work? There is a bunch of crypto economics which I would not get into right now in the interest of time, but essentially you become a node for Earth, and that lets you basically mint new Earth coin by putting dollars into the protocol. So just like Bitcoin is mined when there are miners which are fighting for the block. Ethereum validators are fighting for validating the blocks, and they get ETH. In the Bitcoin's case, they get Bitcoin. Here, to be able to mint one Earth coin, anyone needs to put $10 into the protocol right now. That's the price. So you put $10 in, you mint an Earth, and then those $10 are then funneled into projects that the treasury is looking to fund. Oh God, this keeps on happening. So where are we so far? We've launched Earth, I think almost 4.5 months back. Up until now, it's been the team that has been iterating to see how the tokenomics play out, how does the public perceive it, what is the buy-sell pressure coming in. So far we haven't allowed anyone else to come and mint. We have just launched nodes a couple of weeks back, where now people will be able to become a node and then get that access to start minting. But so far we've put some money in. We've put like close to $15,000-$20,000 into the protocol. And the Earth that was minted as a consequence was that we ended up distributing it to close to 45 projects that participated in a grant round that we had done. So these are like a very high level stat right now. What have we done with the money in the treasury? So as I was mentioning before, we closely want to fund projects in 5 sectors. There's solar pump spaces, clean energy, regenerative agriculture, clean transport, and ecosystem conservation. As a POC, what we have managed to do so far is we have put some token amounts into TDF, which was the first project that presented today, because we're highly aligned on the vibe that we're creating, and we're very bullish on that taking up in times to come. We funded a couple of clean energy projects in Mexico and in India via Helios. We funded one regenerative coffee production farm in Brazil. And we are going to be funding a coconut farm very soon once it launches in Dominican Republic. So these are right now the assets that are backing all the Earth that is in circulation. And these are all funds. We've funded all of these projects where either they have a debt return if it's given as a loan, or then they have equity dividend returns depending on the type of investment we've made. So yeah, I mean, coming to the ROI bit, I think, which is very imperative for us to be able to address. As of today, all funding that the Treasury does is into projects that are economically viable and ecologically beneficial. And that's kind of our thesis. So we look at projects being viable in and of themselves, and then them creating all these positive externalities in terms of carbon sequestration, making the soil healthier, improving air quality, making the water better, so on and so forth. And the DAO earns a specific percentage of all Earth that is minted. That's one source as of now, and obviously there is returns coming from projects, but those returns are also used to further mint Earth and distribute that Earth to all the holders. So there's a couple of ways that we're looking at it right now, depending on how we scale and where is the smoothest take we can have. We will be going forward with that. So yeah, this is pretty much our premise. We understand that we live in a world that's dictated by return on investment, and our goal is to make funding climate solutions the most lucrative asset in terms of risk, reward, and impact. And that's why the returns that you get on Earth are a combination of the real returns that the projects are earning and providing, plus how the crypto economics play out, what is the demand generated for Earth, how do people value the assets that are backing Earth, and how do they see that as a transformational force that a global coordinated layer is coming together to address one of the most existential challenges of our time. So all of that is baked in to see what kind of a premium Earth is able to command. And the premise being that, we want to make it as simple for anyone that's inclined and aligned to take action but doesn't have the time and the resources and the bandwidth to do so. So all they would need to do is just hold Earth, and they would see all the magic happening in the back end. This is our team right now. We're primarily being grant funded. It's me, the co-founder.
Sorry to interrupt. Yeah, we just about time for the slot, right?
Yeah, I'm done.
Yeah,
I'm done. Yeah, I mean, this is the team, all playing different roles, and this is our master plan in terms of being able to build Earth as a solid currency with real backing, and then leverage that to end up building and creating more solar punk spaces around the world and taking that vibe forward.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, we'll now field
Could I
some
hit you
questions.
with a question?
All
Could
right.
I hit you with a question?
Please.
Yeah, sure.
So, Utkarsh, you say quite a few times that it's with the real backing of assets, be it carbon credits or whatever the project is. That makes it a security token.
We're not focusing on carbon credits, we're rather focusing on the assets in itself, which also generate carbon credits. So the carbon credits is not the prime focus. And yes, any
You say it is backed with asset, right? You say it's backed with some asset. So in that way, if it's backed with an asset, it's still a security token.
Yeah, it depends on jurisdictions. We took some time to figure out how to play this out and how to structure it and how to also design the tokenomics in some sense. But maybe in US right now it would definitely come across as one, but there is a growing field of stable coins or new currencies that are being designed which are fully backed by real world assets. Today we have DAI, which is backed by like over $1.5 billion worth of real world assets. And the jury is out there whether it's a security, not a security, because you're getting a DAI savings rate of 4-5% also right now. So there are newer models coming in and newer jurisdictions
It's a big
which allow.
complicated subject, so let's not get into it. How much are you looking to raise?
As of now, 1.5 to 2 million.
And how much have you invested so far?
We've primarily been grant funded, so I would say we've received total grants to the tune of $70,000 to $75,000 so far in the last 2 years.
75,000 in 2 years through grants.
Yeah,
In
in the last 2 years. Yeah.
And
So
yet,
that's, I mean, we have the product live.
Yeah, but if I summarize what the product is, Earthcoin, to me it sounds like a tokenized or decentralized tokenized investment fund that invests into these sorts of eco types of projects for sustainability, right?
Sure, that's I would say the starting point. We're doing a lot more. I don't think I had the time to get into all of that. Basically, trying to create pricing mechanisms for everything that we want to see more of. Basically, right now we put a price on carbon credits. The same way we've understood we need to put a price on soil, air, biodiversity, etc. So we are trying to flip that narrative and say that what if you could price those into the assets that you're holding and start giving a premium over there rather than paying for credits and not getting anything in return.
Yeah, but you started and spent a lot of your time talking in the trillions, which is, everyone likes to do
like
that.
a large,
Yeah, it's big. Yet, as a tokenized, decentralized investment fund into this, I don't see your vision experience, for one of better words, that can address it unless you can say otherwise.
Can you repeat the last bit again?
I said, you talk about trillions, yet I didn't hear anything about you or your team who has managed even $1 billion investment to take this there, yet you're talking in trillions.
Yeah, no, that trillions was just to show what was needed.
Yeah, but people know
and
that.
How much
People know it's a stupid market, right?
Yeah, no,
So how
sure.
are
I
you
mean,
going to get even 1% of that? I don't see.
Sure. Yeah, I guess, I mean, right now we don't have people that have managed big funds. We were figuring out how to do this. But in some sense, I've been speaking to a lot of people who would be very keen to join and take this forward. I have a background in environmental sciences and economics, so that role I can play quite well. But
Yeah, but have you managed to
need
build
a
a
lot.
100 million project? Have you ever owned or been an entrepreneur for a 100 million project?
Not for $100 million project.
Have you done an investment fund?
Yeah, small size.
No. You have actually had a licensed investment fund.
No, I haven't.
All right. This will require licensing. Trust me, I've done 2 investment funds. Okay. So before someone comes and scrutinizes you, it sounds like a good project, but to me, it's a tokenized, decentralized investment fund. And to get any form of major investor, as it stands, it's going to be challenging.
Yeah, we're figuring out on a day-to-day basis in terms of what it takes, and we are slowly building towards it. There are big players looking into this. It's just that we need to build and have tokenized assets that are worthy of getting investments, and which is where there's a massive bottleneck. There aren't enough climate solutions on chain even today.
Thank you.
No, there's quite a few. You haven't done your homework. There's so many tokenized carbon credit investment types of projects. So many.
But yeah, I get it. I agree over there. It's focused on carbon credits, whereas
even real world assets, real projects. Even I see Jury over there. In fact, I was talking to Jury from Ethic Hub just now. I know the projects. There's so many people doing these sorts of things. So it's going to be challenging. Anyway, that's an observation.
Yeah, we fun. Yeah, all right.
The Patels are having a lot of feedback between each other. I love to see it. Thank you so much for all this advice, and that's it.
I gotta shoot. Jimmy, I gotta shoot. Thanks for inviting me.
No worries. Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate your time. All right. We're moving on, and all will be recorded as well. Thank you, Muru. Next up is Kennedy. Okay, so Kennedy is joining us from Kenya, and is going to be talking about. If you could please share screen, you do that at the bottom. Or if you'd like, I can do, I think it's best if you do it so that you can navigate the slides. So it is 3 from the left on the bottom. Just click share screen. There we are. Fantastic. All right. Take it away, Kennedy.
Thank you, Jimmy. And hi everyone, nice to meet you all. My name is Kennedy Nganga. I am based in Nairobi, Kenya. I am the founder of Shamba Network, and I also lead the team there. My background is in data science, especially the application of satellite technology to sustainability and natural resource management. So at Shamba Network, what we do is that we are a data provider. We call ourselves a real-world data oracle. In Web3, as a lot of you might be aware, you have price feed oracles that tell markets such as decentralized exchanges what the prices of certain tokens are at a current time in the market. The real world data oracle does pretty much the same job, but now instead of tokens, we are providing data about the real world. So data about the ecological state, data about climate parameters, data about catastrophes, climate catastrophes. Our mission statement is to serve this kind of data, this real-world data about the ecology, the climate, various natural catastrophes, to serve that data to the solutions that need it, especially in these new emerging ways that it is not really available, and in a manner that is reliable, that can allow other kinds of applications and solutions to be built on top of this data. The problem that we are trying to solve is that right now a lot of markets are inefficient. A lot of you know some of the scandals that have been in the carbon markets because of the lack of transparency behind the data that underlies carbon credits. Other markets like climate insurance are struggling to pick up because of the inefficiencies in the data, and especially on emerging rails such as Web3. So Web3 basically can make a lot of these applications more efficient. For instance, climate insurance can be made up to 40% more efficient when done on Web3, using the power of smart contracts to automate what was traditionally done by people. But the lack of suitable data on these new rails holds back the potential of all of these solutions. So this is the main issue. On the left, you might see that I have a question that is there: what is MRV and why is digital MRV best? And this just shows you that there is a huge gap between where the current state of the art is with the data, especially in markets like carbon credits, and where it ought to be in order to provide more inclusivity and transparency. So what we do at Shamba is that we are building the solution for this by tapping into some of the new and very cutting edge technologies that allow us to deliver this data in a manner that is cost effective. We use a lot of AI models, geospatial data, and of course Web3 technology to deliver real world intelligence to all the different solutions and verticals that need this data to be able to grow, especially on Web3. So when you're thinking of refi, this is one of the key verticals which really needs real world data for us to be able to quantify ecological impact and even incentivize it. How it works is that at Shamba we ingest data from a variety of sensors and satellites. These are provided by various space agencies from different countries. A lot of it is open data and anybody can access it, but it's usually in a form that is bulky and basically formats that are unfamiliar to people who do not come from a remote sensing background. So we consume all of this data, some of it is commercial. We run it through our processing engine, which uses AI foundation models that are trained on geospatial data. So basically, they're just transformers, but rather than being like large language models that are trained on a corpus of text, these are models that are trained on a ton of geospatial data. We also use statistical models, we use geospatial models, and we run all of this data that is captured by satellites through these models to extract key insights and metrics. And then we deliver these insights and metrics, we provide them on-chain through our Web3 Oracle, one of the first oracles to provide this data on Web3. We also have RESTful APIs for applications that are running in other spaces, as well as web user interfaces to cater to the humans who might be interacting with this data. So all of this is data that is also channeled to projects that we are supporting. For instance, those carbon credit projects that are using our solution for their digital monitoring, reporting, and verification. Our revenue model so far has been around commission basis. So we are starting out with a lot of projects that are also starting out. So we are capturing a percentage of the value that they are able to generate through the use of our data. But the long-term vision is for us to move into an SaaS model, whereby users will be paying a certain amount to access these insights through the various channels, whether on Web3 or through the web user interfaces or through the APIs, they pay and they access this over a certain period. So far, we've been doing proof of concepts for the different kinds of data we can serve. So we are still at an early stage of problem discovery and honing the solution to specifically fit the needs of specific markets. So we've worked on a climate insurance solution that we provided data to some pilot that was trying out Web3 climate insurance for herders in Kenya. Almost 400 herders were covered by that from drought. This was in participation with some projects such as Diva Protocol, which was providing the smart contracts, and a microfinance in Kenya known as Fortune Credit, and backed by Mercical Ventures. And basically, we came in with that data that showed what had been happening over a 20-year period, and then we served real-time data to the smart contracts that enable them to eventually trigger and make a payout of a certain amount to the affected people. We are also working on carbon credit pilots where we are providing our data and our DMRP solutions to 4 project developers working with over 10,000 farmers in central Kenya. They are doing tree planting through an agroforestry methodology, and we are providing them with that annual monitoring as well as the baseline and endline so that they will eventually be able to claim credits based off of the work that they've done backed by our data. And of course, all of this data is being on-chain, including all of the raw data that is being used in these insights, which aims to create this transparent middle of data so that the carbon credit space moves from a space which is based on data that nobody understands to a space where the data is all on-chain and can be verified by anyone. We are also developing our web user interface MVP, our web apps for the human users to be able to interact with this kind of data. And we've also developed some strategic partnerships with value chain players within these different industries. and we are actually providing data to some of them at the moment.
Kennedy,
So,
Kennedy, I'm sorry
yeah.
I'm interrupting you, but we'll just finish this off in about a minute because we're over time now.
Okay, so we have some competitors, although none of them is on the same race as us. This is our team. It's made up of experts in Web3, in AI, and working with geospatial data. And we are currently raising $1 million to fund our engineering and our business development. We are doing this through our token warrant. Thank you.
Thank you, Kennedy. All right. Do we have any questions from Veritas?
I would be interested in asking what is the current biggest hurdle or challenge you have to tackle in order to get your model running out of your view?
Yeah, thank you for that question. I'd say maybe one of the biggest challenges is that the industry is still at an early stage. So when we talk about carbon credit, it's not a lot of them are being tokenized yet. And even when we talk about things like climate insurance, you're still seeing pilots happening here and there, but it's not yet become a mainstream thing. So we feel like we are front running the market a little bit. We are waiting for a lot of the action to come up. And there's really no forcing these things because we have to wait for these solutions to mature and therefore to be able to get more people consuming this data. Yeah.
Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. All right, round of applause for Kennedy. Appreciate you. Viridis, are they on here? Do we have Viridis in the house? I'm not sure if Viridis is here. Should we move to Chinese?
Yourself. Because then you have Unify last. Right?
Unify. Yeah, we're already quite over time. Maybe we should go Unify and then I'll go. Or?
That works. Yeah. Unify.
Okay. Scarlett, thank you so much for your patience. Apologies, we're over time a bit. We'd love it if you could share with us what you have going on at the Impact portfolio, and it's great to have you here.
Thank you so much. So this is can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can, and feel free to share your screen
Okay.
if you'd like to show us as well.
I'm going to have to figure out how to do that. This is my first time being on Work Adventure.
Right.
But I love it.
Yeah, it's the third one from the bottom. That's how you can share.
Let me get my, I wasn't sure what time I would be going with the new schedule, so let me get my presentation pulled up here. Okay. And by the way, thank you for having me, and thank you for including Unify and your broadcast partners. We're excited to be partnered on this event.
It is such a pleasure to have you. Thank you.
Okay, so that's loading, and we will see if we can get the screen to share here. Maybe I'll go off camera. I think my camera is sucking up some of the bandwidth.
Okay, no worries. We can also, if you need some more time, we can also end with your presentation if you prefer. Or are you ready?
If you have someone else queued up, then that's totally fine.
Would you prefer that? If you need extra time?
It doesn't matter either way.
Got it. Okay, yeah, if you got the presentation queued up, then please feel free to take it away.
Okay.
Share screen.
Okay. Can you guys see this?
Yes, we can. Lovely.
All right. I should have a timer. All right, let me look at the time. All right, so essentially a couple years ago I ended up going to Davos. It was quite by accident. I ended up meeting a bunch of fund managers and hearing their woes, and then seeing these fantastic ideas for solutions for humanity and for the planet that people had to pay $50,000 to $250,000 for some stage time share to an audience where maybe one or two of the people in the audience were a good fit, it was their wheelhouse. Would be able to give them some kind of help or funding to move it forward. And I felt that that was a bit of a mismatch in terms of what we as humanity have available to us for connecting the dots and moving forward with efficiency for humanity. So Myself and a group of others created the impact portfolio, emerging models for global efficiency and impact portfolio, impact ROI rather. I'm not going to go over our timeline just for the sake of time, but we are looking for global data and media partners, future member prospects, and philanthropic funders and investors. Our primary focus is philanthropic. This 841 billion of worldwide philanthropic annual giving is what we are looking to tackle first. We understand that overall humanity is responsible for how the entirety of dollars that moves around the planet performs for our future, but we're focusing on moving this one first, and so that's what we're working on translating with this fund. We see that there's a foreign problem as barriers to humanity's self-organization right now, and I've identified those as a modality issue because some of the greatest progress is siloed. Nothing wrong with silos, but we've got to level up our collaboration. We have an issue with metrics, so we do have the SDGs as one language that humanity is using, the largest language right now that humanity is using to identify challenges that need to be addressed. However, they're unclear in terms of what the actual outcomes could look like, and there's no standard measurement for progress. So we don't right now have a way to allow local KPIs to be perfect, doing just what they're doing, but then to roll that data up into globally meaningful data. And that is something that needs to be turned on its head. We have a media issue where even the best media is seen only by the few, and oftentimes Apple and Tesla are the only ones that get to make the really heavy hitting stuff. And this is a problem because since video and communications, all of this is our standard operating system right now as humanity, this is another thing that needs to be turned on its head. And I opened by addressing the money issue, although there's a lot more to it. If we had more than 5 minutes, we would go into that. So the impact portfolio assumes that the solutions to the challenges that humanity is facing are finite and measurable, and are therefore executable, and also that we already have all of our available resources that we need. We're utilizing those resources and simply adding organized collaboration and scaling capacity to equal global efficiency and effectiveness. Impact portfolio is optimizing and connecting the most effective organizations for global systems change. This is impact, media, collaboration, technology, and data. Those are our pillars of focus. The fund performance, I'll touch lightly on that. We are raising for a $100 million fund managed by Ed Burke, former global managing partner at Accenture. We have projected increases in efficiency in philanthropic impact funds spent of a minimum of 20%, and Ed actually estimates that those increases are going to be closer to 50%. This is a new model for utilizing the best of what humanity has to offer. People would ask, is it an incubator, is it an accelerator, is it a venture studio? It does include aspects of those things within it. But in addition, because of the collaborative context that we're providing, which I haven't shown you yet, we are able to do investment in grants. We do not take investment directly. We essentially have a portfolio of participants, and investors can invest directly in those. We have members that are able to do what they're doing in silos, run in their lane, run in their track, but also have this elegant way to actually see the mycelial tissue grow so they can collaborate. There's a higher level resource sharing because of that. We do see the MSO model in the healthcare industry, for example, as a way to resource share that has come by necessity, but this is up-leveling that. And then our expert network not only is available to work one-on-one with these organizations, but they interface and really see what the cohort is doing on the whole. So there's a focus on scalability. We have the optimizers, which I haven't shown you yet, the media engine, which has 3 very unique features to it, and it's built from the beginning for a global scalable context. Here's a projection of the effectiveness and efficiency increase for a single organization that we pulled, a real organization that we pulled from our vetting partner. So you can see that increase there. That's what we're after for the world, for an entire cohort first. So how it works is we have these member organizations. You can really use any group of organizations and companies that wants to collaborate, that's willing to collaborate, and that is also after being optimized themselves in these areas. However, it's worth being strategic about because you can put complementary partners in here and see some pretty exponential increase. We have in each of these larger circles optimization centers. And in each one of these optimization centers, we have optimizer partners that are doing some of the coolest level work on the planet in these areas. So for instance, our betting partner is Impact Genomics, that was founded by Seth Blaustein, that is overseen by Tom Chi, formerly of Google X, and they utilize not only things like wisdom and sustainability in their vetting process, but they also include an entire impact stack. And this vetting is not saying vetting for whether or not somebody gets to play or be a cool kid. This is vetting saying, like, how is someone outside in the real world seeing what you and your organization is doing? How is it being measured in these different sectors or areas or through these different lenses? And how can we improve the efficiencies and effectiveness within your organization and then translate that in a way that's meaningful in all these different languages? And that is done for every organization at the beginning, middle, and end of the 18-month cohort. Now, each of these organization or optimization partners, they don't just interact with one organization and then keep that, progress and data to themselves. They all have visibility on what the other is doing with these organizations, and that allows them to ask bigger questions and see what else might be possible in the development for this cohort, not only the individual organization, become more lean in things like how we're crafting narratives when we're developing media and how we're utilizing returnability and familiarity when we're crafting marketing. And all these organizations and member organizations in the middle here, they not only undergo their optimizations with these individual partners, but once a month they have a collaboration meeting. They're also able to see the interface of what each other are doing in their progress, which again adds to these benefits: expanded context, enhanced feedback loops, and elevated decision making. And I won't go deeply into these, but for example, our collaboration partner is Pro Social World, which right now they're leading researchers in the world on collaboration. They're fully funded by Templeton, IRB certified. They use Elinor Ostrom's Nobel Prize winning core design principles model as a part of their interdisciplinary practical scientific framework. Our data technology is leveraging several different AI projects, as well as a continuing discussion that we're having with global data players about what's non-threatening, that's also beneficial for the individual, the entity, the whole humanity, and then rapid prototyping collaborations that can draft new models for what's possible with data. Betty already shared with you about the impact that's quantifiable down to the dollar. The media engine is about also rapid prototyping, decentralizing the production of content, putting things in this larger context so we can gain efficiencies in our storytelling and also in our distribution. So we don't create any media until we understand what the power of the collective distribution actually is and what's appropriate to tell in what order. And then we're also setting these organizations up to be able to begin monetizing their media rather than only paying for their media, because we see organizations and companies that are paying through the nose to develop like one really great video, and then that video reaches 400 or 1,000 people, and then it goes there to die. And overall, this is just not a good use of our time and money for what we can be doing collectively. We're multilingual, so we do speak the SDGs, but the data is core data that can be translated into anything else. If the SDGs decide that they're going to change to something else tomorrow, we need to be able to be agile and adapt to that. This is our structure, we don't need to go into. And then we are raising for the full 100 million fund. 6 million of that goes to operations, 14 million goes to pay for the optimizers, and 80 million gets distributed in grants. And the grant funds also have milestones for those distributions and ensuring that as that impact per dollar increases, then that money is going towards the practice that gives them that outcome. So ensuring that there's no stranded assets in that sense. And then we are in the middle of an immediate need to raise short-term while we're working on those millions. We do have we're in talks with someone about a 35 million right now. But while that is all going down, we need 500,000 to be able to do the next few months of work. And also we have offers to publish, and that needs to be done in October. Our team is amazing. You'd have to kind of go through the deck. There's a lot of people on the team to see everyone, but we have people that have worked, at the highest levels in various sectors, and we're really proud of that. And we have amazing partners as well. I wish I had time to storytell about all the members in the beta cohort and the partners, optimizer partners. Unify is one, but we can go into that another time. So I guess I can open up questions.
All right, thank you so much. All right, we got some enthusiasm here in the house. All right, fantastic. I know Maru Patel, although he had to leave, he has requested this document, so I'd love to. Oops, sorry, I was muted there. My bad. Yep. So I know that Mr. Patel's also requested this document and financials, so I'll be sending some of these things over as well, and hopefully connecting some dots for deeper talks and deeper dives after the fact. Do we have any questions from the investors that are in the house? Joseph or anyone from Veritas? Okay, straightforward. Well, we can connect the dots as well so that we can continue these discussions after. All right, so last
Fantastic, thank you.
Thank you so much, Tammy. We appreciate you. Actually, we do have a question here in the house. Yes,
yeah,
please.
Scott, that was awesome. I would love to talk more if that's possible at all.
Okay, so gentleman here called is also requesting to connect. So I will try to connect dots. There's lots of people wanting to continue these discussions after the fact. So wonderful.
Beautiful. Thank you.
All right. Amazing. Okay, so I'm going to quickly go through the final presentation. I know we're severely over time, but I'm just going to quickly run through this and share the last pitch that I'm going to be going through here. So let's grow Jimmy's screen into infinity. All right. Okay. Now, all right, so the vision for Tree Gens is a world where anyone can plant trees and get rewarded. Just a quick bit about myself. I personally broke the Guinness World Record for most trees planted in a day by one person, and now we're gearing up to break the next world record, which is most number of trees planted by any number of people. That's 560 million on Earth Day. And to do that, we have to solve two very key problems. The first one is transparency. A lot of times the impact that's delivered by impactful organization as an update is a representation of the impact and is sent to quite a few different people. Back in the day when I used to fundraise door to door, I learned that even the pen pals sometimes are writing to many people, and it's really a representation rather than the direct impact. But there's a lot of funds that are waiting on the sidelines that would be unlocked once transparency is solved. And then there's also misaligned incentives. Unfortunately, nature has a value when it is chopped down in terms of charcoal and wood and these types of things. But if that is realigned such that it has value while it's alive, we're going to see things change quite a bit. So the TreeGen solution to this is radical transparency. Okay, so through a proof of plant protocol, which I'll get into, which leverages AI and DAO verification, and also impact incentives. So we are issuing these mGrow tokens through the proof of plant protocol so that anyone who plants mangrove trees can get rewarded. The reason we're starting with mangroves is because they absorb 8 to 10 times more carbon out of the atmosphere compared with terrestrial forests. So this is an overview of what we're building. We're starting with a governance token called TGN, and similar to proof of stake and how this works, you do have to actually stake this token, meaning it is at stake when the DAO does verification. So if anyone does malicious verification of the data, they can actually lose these tokens, but they get 5% of the mGrow token, which can only be created when people plant and verify these mangrove trees. Lastly, we have non-fungible updates. So this actually ties into the funding piece. So in order to make a claim that you have funded trees, you have to burn the mGrow token. In order to do that, and after you do that, you then get these non-fungible updates, which are basically videos of the AI tree counting that I can show as well, and those are on chain. Then we're further gamifying this with leaderboards, as well as the world's first DSST, which is a dynamic semi-soulbound token, which I'll get into. This is kind of a high-level overview, and then how we can leverage the ecological benefits framework to reward folks as well. All right, so you all are already very familiar with the carbon markets. A very interesting stat, though, is that global spending on sustainability reached 2.7 trillion in 2020, which is a 56% increase from 2018, according to Morgan Stanley. This is our team here. So we have folks who have launched $100 million companies before. We have a very talented tech team. Another thing I really want to highlight, though, is our advisors. So Gregory Landua, who's going to be speaking later today, coined the term refi, pioneered the regen movement with the Regen Network. Griff Green, who has started Giveth and many pioneering impact Web3 organizational companies. Some really smart cookies who are helping us really scale this and drive the adoption side. And then we have a team of 6 mangrove advisors. So we have people in Indonesia, in the Philippines, in Kenya, in Cameroon to really share their decades and decades of expertise so that when people go to plant these trees around the world, they are able to get those updates and really make sure that it is the best methodology that is implemented when this happens. So this is essentially how the proof of plant protocol works. The tree planter plants the tree, they film it before and after, the AI counts how many trees have been planted, all of this data is sent then to the DAO to do final verification in order to issue the mGrow token. This is what our DApp looks like. So you can see a bit of how it's filmed before and after, the leaderboards as well via gamification. This is what the dynamic semi-soulbound tokens are looking like. So it's actually dynamic in 2 ways. So with these NFTs, the light on the mind gets brighter when you fund trees. The light on the heart gets brighter when you plant trees. We know that you funded trees when you retire the mGrow tokens, basically burning them to a burn wallet address. We know that you've planted trees when the light on the heart gets brighter. Okay, and these are the non-fungible updates, so you can see here that the AI is counting the trees a lot more accurately than a human would count them. This is our exponential growth model of how we can really scale regeneration. So thank you. So by planting mangrove trees and doing what's called the carbon forward, this is where we work with impact investors who buy the future value of carbon credits in the short term. Even though they're paying a discounted rate in the short term for these carbon forwards, it's still an order of magnitude more funding. We forecasted about 9x every time they buy the future value of these carbon credits, which means we can multiply the trees approximately 9 times and then also take a portion of that and reward the tree planters around the world through these carbon forward revenues. But it is our plan to reinvest back into more trees and back into more trees so that we can exponentially scale mangroves around the world. This is some of our traction. We were voted first place on Gitcoin in multiple different rounds. We've been funded pre-launch to do more than 1 million mangrove trees by several organizations, notably Kyoto Protocol. And we're currently fundraising 1 million for 10%. And that concludes the presentation. So, let me stop sharing screen here. And here we go. So, thank you. Thank you very much. Super overtime, so just try to go through it super quickly. Any questions from Veritas or anyone in the house?
Yes, the monitoring you're doing this because when I was thinking about plant trees and how far I know is the biggest challenge is not the planting of the trees and the monitoring that you have a sustainable impact, a longer impact. And I know it for other models that they're having some periods of time they're taking almost measurement of the monitoring action. How is it? Is this a permanent life system, or how often do you have monitors actually the status of the trees?
Excellent question. So these mGrow tokens actually will represent a mangrove growing to the point of 3 years. So what we do is we're issuing 1/6 of the mGrow token for the initial plant. So 1/6, when you film the trees, the AI counts, it gets verified, and then every 6 months over the course of 3 years, an additional 1/6 will get unlocked. So the survival rate will be reflected in the sequential issuance such that an mGrow token represents that it grows for 3 years. And our advisory team has advised us that if it does reach the point of 3 years, there's a very high likelihood of it growing beyond that. And mangroves are also typically underwater and are a bit more secure in terms of fires and things like this. And we're also hoping to fund a lot of different conservation initiatives by funding businesses that depend on the mangroves. So for example, crab farming, beekeeping, these businesses that depend on the mangroves, then the communities and the CBOs that we're funding through this will try to protect them a lot in the future. But that's how we plan to monitor it every 6 months for 3 years.
Thanks, Jimmy. And another question I would ask, because I'm very interested in, what is your biggest hurdle right now in order to get your business running or your model on the street?
Right. So up until now, one thing I'm very passionate about is scaling regeneration and planting as many trees as humanly possible, and working with the carbon markets. Although they're not perfect, I believe they have a lot of potential for reinvesting back into trees through this carbon forward model that I shared. And so getting the right, since mangrove trees are typically on government land, getting the rights to the carbon credits to leverage that has been a challenge. In Kenya, for example, some of those licenses were recently revoked, and so. But we have a really exciting development in this area, and that is actually Brazil. Apologies for the phone call. We have. Let me just get rid of this. Okay. Yeah. The watch. Okay. Sorry about that. All right. We actually have an MOU signed with the Brazilian Carbon Credits Cooperative. Woo! So, hey, all right. So that's what we plan to launch. And what's really interesting in Brazil is not only are we now able to navigate that landscape with the government entities there, but also there's community land that is shared owned by the community in these CBOs. So we can also partner directly with community land owners and the community itself in these CBOs, such that we can then leverage that carbon piece and scale this. So we also have some really exciting developments in Indonesia through our advisory team in order to do this. And so I'd say that's the biggest hurdle, but we're getting there.
Thanks, Jamie.
All right. Thank you, Joseph. I really appreciate everyone's time at Veritas and everyone that participated in the first ever Funding the Regenaissance. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, and stay tuned for more broadcasts later in the day. All right. Let's grow!